We must give it all up to get it all. Hello, my friends. This pretty much sums up the journey of spiritual awakening. We must give it all up to get it all. What does this mean? This means, how do we get back into wholeness, into communion with God? We have to give it all up. We have to give it all up, my friends. We have to give up thought. We have to give up attachments, desires, worries, cares, fears, stress. We have to give it all up. That's what God requires of us if we want to get back in union with the divine, right? We are born into a sea of stimulation, aggravation, and information. This is what makes it so difficult to do that, because everything is trying to take our attention and keep it in the illusion, which keeps us from giving our attention to God. God is simply waiting patiently, right, in a sense, for us to stay present, which is what? Full surrender. That's what giving it all up means. And what happens when we can get to the space of full surrender, of giving it all up, not thinking about anything, the future, the past, not worried, not stressed, and if you're not thinking, guess what? You're severing the connection, the attachment, the identification with your somebodyness, your ego. This is very hard to do because the ego resists its own destruction. So how do we surrender completely? We have to stay present. How do we stay present? Presence and purification, right? Presence and purification will help us get balance by focusing on these things. How do we stay present? We have to remove the aggravators, aggravation, stimulation, and information. We have to facilitate a state of peace. All these things I repeat over and over again. And what is our reward once we're able to fully surrender and stay present, stay in the center of the circle, detach, become the observer? Our reward is God working through us, becoming a vessel of God. How do we become a vessel of God? Full surrender, giving it all up to get it all. What does it mean to get it all? It means we are allowing the divine God to work through us completely without interference, without these pesky attachments to our somebodyness, our ego, thinking we're somebody doing something, thinking we're in control. See, the cycles of thought, which are aggravated by the illusion, keep us separated from the whole, right? We start with the whole. Well, I don't know if you can see my circle. We start in the center of the circle. See, I knew I was going to need this. We start in the center of the circle, which is detached, thoughtless, whole, one with God, God observing itself. But the cycles of thought, which is caused by information, aggravation, stimulation, and the illusion, drag us into the illusion, right? This causes separateness. This takes our attention, and we become attached, and we get caught in these lower limiting perspectives. This is what's causing separation from the whole. Well, we get so attached to our ego and our somebodyness, it's hard to give up because our ego resists its own destruction. So when you talk about things like dissolving the ego and stop thinking, your ego doesn't like that. One of the biggest things that keeps us caught in the illusion, keeps us separated, keeps us from surrendering completely to God, is the illusion of control. We think we're in control. This keeps us really stressed out. And all this stress, thinking about the past, thinking that we're sinners, thinking regret, shame, thinking about the future, all these things assume control, which control is an illusion because it only exists in the thinking mind. And when we stop thinking, when we get to the center of the circle, next to my thumb, detached, thoughtless, we're surrendering. That's giving it all up. We become God. We allow God to work through us. The illusion does not want us to go back to the center, to the whole. It wants to keep us separate because we're easier to control. It wants to keep us aggravated, stimulated with information, right? The sea of stimulation, aggravation, and information. It wants to keep us aggravated. It wants to keep our cycles of thought aggravated. This is another video I'm going to make. Why are humans so easy to control? So it can keep us easier to control because when we think we're somebody, we think we know. And when we think we know, there goes your control. because they're going to give us whatever they want, and our ego is going to hold right onto it, and we're going to think we know, and it's just going to be used to control us, right? So if we want to, going back to the main topic, give it all up to get it all, we have to work on these foundations of presence and purification consistently with each other, working with each other, facilitating a state of peace, emptying the mind, right? Reconstituting or emptying the mind. We have to stop taking in information, aggravation, and stimulation. We have to do our best. And as we slowly start to do that and focus on purifying the body and focusing on staying present as much as we can, the path is self-correcting. Everything will work itself out. Eventually, we'll be able to surrender more and more, give it all up, and we will be rewarded. What is our reward for giving it all up? We get it all. God works through us, right? We become an absolute vessel for the divine, and we become the highest, higher self, Atman, version of ourselves, which allows us to do God's highest, fullest work through our vessel, right? This is our reward for giving it all up. We gain so much. We gain divine understanding. We're able to understand things that allow us to progress even further on our journey of consciousness, on presence and purification, right? Becoming the high, keep going toward the center of the circle, stay in the center of the circle, and allow all things to take their course. We start to understand what things like this means. We start to be able to access, through presence and purification, giving it all up and purifying the body, we start to be able to access higher perspectives, which allow us to go even deeper. And the more we learn, the more, like, I learn as I go, I teach as I learn, and I learn as I teach. It allows us to share these deeper understandings with others. And as we do that, we also are able to learn more. It keeps progressing our path. So give it all up to get it all. If you want to get it all, we got to give it all up. All of our attachments, trying to do anything, chasing money. I don't chase money. I don't care about money. That's another video, why I don't care about money. And it's not exactly as it may sound. I'm not saying quit your job and don't do anything. What I'm saying is become the observer. Allow nature to run off. And just observe doing what you got to do to provide for your family or to navigate the illusion. But we're really not in control anyway. You're just observing it no matter what. We're just chemistry and conditioning, right? And no matter where you are on the path of spiritual awakening, we merely have to accept ourselves and observe and keep coming back to the present moment. Oh, I'm thinking too much. I'm thinking too much. Why? Let's look at what is aggravating me. Too much phone, improper diet, too many aggravations and stimulations coming, music, TV, phone, too much jabbering. I'm at the point now where my mind, my body, my spirit wants quiet as much as possible, which I don't get much of, but when I do, the divine comes and speaks to me. Because that's what God really wants, is it wants us to surrender. He wants us to give it all up. And then in my moments of quiet, of surrender, of peacefulness, like when I do my sauna here, did a little bit of skin scraping, exfoliate, open up the skin, get out some toxins through the sweat. When I take a moment of peace and meditation or sauna, that is when we allow more communication with the divine, right? And but we need to allow space for deeper understanding. We must reconstitute or empty the mind. This is part of giving it all up. Because if we're chasing information, we're chasing for answers. How do I gotta find this, I gotta do this, I gotta find it. No, you don't gotta do anything. You don't remember, you don't have to try to do anything. That's a trap. God simply wants your full, undivided attention, which is what? Surrender. So we have to look at how do we surrender. Remove the aggravator, facilitate a state of peace, purify the body, which can help with aggravation and help balance your chemistry and help bring you balance. You can do it, my friends. Remember, no matter where you are, everything's perfect. Accept, observe, presence and purification. Always come back to the pillars. Remove the aggravators, facilitate a state of peace, and you will correct all of your issues. I am God's eternal love pouring forth. Namaste.